hundreds of trillions of dollars coursing through our economic veins, there exists a pathway where no U.S. citizen needs endure poverty. Every child should be shielded from involuntary hunger and thirst. By eradicating greed and corruption, we pave the way forward. This chapter delves into the rationale behind our governmental expenditure and prompts a critical inquiry into how our leaders allocate our resources.
So listen, I'm going to do a briefer than I expected intro. I was talking back to Joseph in the back. We got a really cool show set up for you guys. I know that you and I have talked about this a bunch of times. Anyway, I'm going to make this shorter because I am dying of thirst. As you know, I'm on a marathon show today because we had to take a couple of days off. So we like back to back, and I'm dying of thirst, and I forgot my soda and my water back there. So, and I'm the only one. So I don't have I wish I could get my dog to train to do that. So, hey, welcome. As you know, this is Insights and Straight Talk. I only say that again like that because Joseph here has if you'll notice on the information, we're not only streaming to our LinkedIn and YouTube, but he is also streaming to his followers and folksies in LinkedIn and YouTube. We're very excited about this show because we actually may dive into several different conversations, meaning a little AI, a little of this, a little of finance, a little of that. But really, we're going to spend our time, believe it or not. It's been a while since we've been here. But I've had some big pressure. Not that I've been avoiding it because I love these subjects. I lost my glasses, as you guys know, so I can't see when people are coming on here really good. So my point being, I know we got on a little bit early, so we may have a simple. Oh, there we go. Somebody, I think they heard me and they felt guilty, and so they jumped on. What we're talking about today is something we've actually, that's not true. Almost every show we talk about some sort of current event when it relates, because what we talk about has a lot to do. There's a lot of interrelational things about like health and food. You know, of course, the government has a big thing going on right now. And of course, the new administration with Kennedy, you know, there's a lot of that so when we talk about that, obviously that delves into it, and depending on the guest and depending on the audience, you guys, we get a little deeper. We don't, you know, whether we're talking about finance, there's obviously the effects in that. And when we talk about AI, a lot of people are concerned about not being ready for the government when AI comes, because there's a number of different ways you can go. Hey, by the way, our guest here, he's got his contact information here. I'm actually going to copy and paste this back onto the back side of it again, but we've got a really special treat because we're gonna kind of dive into some of the subjects. I don't know how. There's so many. I mean, there's so many things we could talk about right now because the school system, and I want to talk about that. Actually, you know, Joseph, maybe we could spend a little time on this because, you know, I started a show the other day with my granddaughter, and I won't get too far into it. It looks like a lot of people are starting to dive on here, but I started a show with my granddaughter. It's called Insights and Straight Talk with Emma and Grandpa Rod. And what it's about, and yeah, we do a little makeup, and I already told her, you know, those I'm trying hard to stay with you on those, but the eyelashes and there will be some of that because we actually have an age group between 13 and 19 that exists, like 20, 25. I think it's been as high as 30, but I think right now it's like 15, 20% are in that age group. Because here's the thing. Yeah, everybody goes through and likes to, you know, look their best and all that, but they also talk about how the kids of today are only watching those fighting TikToks and those battling with teachers over how teachers are handling situations via TikTok. You're not watching funny cat videos. These are young kids. My teenager is 16 years old. Teenager meaning granddaughter. She just had her sweet 16th birthday. Beautiful young lady, smart. But what's fun is you'll see in the show that it's not just ask a question and go away. It's by asking questions around the questions and just kind of thinking about how she's thinking and then getting to an answer that she comes up with and really makes a beautiful, beautiful comment. We need more of that. And that's why we have the show on the different subjects. Today we're honored and we're going to have, I think, a pretty comical show. As you can see, she's throwing some our current Eddy Systems new. Okay, so he did it again. See, he's subscribed to StreamYard. So you guests out there, you can bring in your information as you want. I always wondered why you had to go to the private. Well, you just answered my question, and I'm only saying that to my newest, the best thing in the entire world. And
yeah, you want to? Let's start off with some comedy. Here's a Joe original. Guy walks into a bar, says to the bartender, "Give me a Coke with a Viagra in it." The bartender looks at him kind of funny and he says, "I need a really stiff drink." Bum.
You're pulling it out with both barrels coming out of the gates, my friend.
And for those of you who like Shakespeare, another Joe original, to be or not to be? Truly the question, because if it's to be, I got bingo. And I gotta give you shit because you're in Naperville. My Terror Strikes Coming Soon to a City Near You book has a Naperville chapter in it.
And you know what? I read that and I said, you know what? Fuck this. I'm moving, and I now live in Oklahoma. Oh. Actually, the day I have been scared to death. Not scared, but I have been under the gun since last Thursday at 11 o'clock at night when I left my home there. Well, actually, the office. We did both, and the truckers came. They packed up stuff, and we were packing all day, and we headed out. I had to be here in the office / home. I bought a home down here with some acreage on it and that. And brought the studio over here. So now we're coming out of Oklahoma, which is a completely different.
While you're clearing your throat, now the way my OCD ADHD brain works while he's trying to clear his throat now I'm going to have Oklahoma in my head all damn day. Right? I'm going to have to rent Oklahoma the play or something. Uh-oh. Hopefully he's not still grasping for a beverage over there. Anyway, yes. Hello, I am Joseph M. Lenard.
All right, hold on. I was hoping you would just roll right into that.
Yeah, I hijack the show if you want. I am Joseph.
That's what I'm trying to get you to do. I got to go get that water and that soda.
Sure, go ahead.
And I hear you in my headphones. Go ahead.
I'll explain my background while you're getting a beverage, getting a Duff beer, right?
You got. I have a hat. I have a hat that says Duff beer. You'll see it on me.
Yes, I am Joseph M. Lenard. You can kind of see it on the background there. It looks French. It's not Lenard. It's Lenard without an O. It actually was. I haven't dug far enough back into the heritage files yet. Lenard Łaskowicki or whatever. It's Polish of some kind, actually. Joseph M. Lenard without an O, and I have to use my middle initial because there is a Joseph Lenard who happens to be a Christian author. I can't talk. A Christian author like me out of South Carolina. I'm here in Michigan. You could see in my background the city of Detroit there. So yeah, I was born and raised in Michigan, and while I'm not fond of the winters, I do choose to stay here. I would much prefer to live in Vegas. Used to vacation out there all the time. People don't know, though, who don't go to Vegas. It gets cold there in the winter in the desert. And I always joke they should change the name of Clark County to Skillet County, because in the summer it gets to 100 bazillion degrees because of the mountains that surround Vegas, and it's literally like a skillet.
Desert.
Yeah, it's like a skillet and cooks you. But at night, it gets cold. I've been there in November and needed my winter jacket, and I've been in there in July toasting my butt off.
So you have a very interesting background. We grew up in a very interesting time, and we grew up in a time when the world is really kind of reaching out and saying, wait a minute. And I think we're here there now, but I think it's the opposite. It's kind of a weird twist. As we were talking about back in the green room, you didn't eat those peanuts, right? You promise? We have a tape. It's recorded back there. So when we were talking about that, we were talking about some of the things that were going on and how you grew up. And I was just talking to a gentleman right before you who's in investment, stock investment systems. And his parents came from there in Vietnam, and kind of an interesting intermix here, because we know of all the turmoil going on there, and the unknowns was the worst part. And then the finding outs of things later, and then the bullshit, just all general. I think it was a terrible time, obviously, in the country, but right now seems to be kind of a juxtapux, an opposite, like looking at the broken mirror. There's this, and I get civil unrest with college, and I talked about my granddaughter and how we have this conversation. Oh, here we go. So don't text anymore, okay? Let's just talk. What inspired you to blend comedy with such serious topics? So before you go to that, because I agree with this, and he knows exactly why he's asking this question, because to learn something, you typically have to have a mindset that's not a humdrum speaker said blah 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 blah. You say blah 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 blah. And you, after a while, you're listening to it, but you're not really picking up everything you can. Whereas if your mind's active and alert, listening, and just going with that, you have the ability to pick up more information. So I know where you're going to go with this, and I just wanted to say that with your experience and coming from that time, the Haight-Ashbury time and all that, and comparing that to today, plus just the school systems. I really want to get into the school systems maybe first. Anyway, tell me what got you on the, a little bit more of that journey, and then let's talk about this.
To answer the question, it's simple. A basic understanding of human nature and psychology. You get more with sugar than vinegar, right? You can get past
100%.
People's defenses with humor. Whereas if you're constantly bombarding someone with facts and this and that and the other thing,
and opinions that may or may not be true.
Right. This seriousness, they're going to just zone out, tune you out. But a well-placed joke that has serious underpinnings to it can plant a seed inside the mind of a moron who would otherwise normally reject reality, clinging to their delusion. But right, and Dennis Prager corrected me. Right, I'm human, I'm frail, I'm flawed, I make mistakes. I used to criticize, I have a meme, you can lead a liberal to the facts, but you can't make them think. Like the horse to water thing, but wrong. I should have said leftist. Dennis Prager corrected me. Classical liberals are not necessarily the problem and are capable of thinking. Look at people like a Brandon Strach or a Leo Terrell or a Tammy Bruce or any number of actual former classical liberals who red-pilled. But you will never, ever get through to an ideological leftist. They cling to their delusion so much, and that goes back to the comedy. With comedy, that's why Gutfeld is the #1 late night show on TV. Funny, and they make fun of everyone. They're not, yes, they talk politics, and yes, their humor is politically poignant, but they make fun of everybody. I was going to make fun of your producer Barbie because as an adult male, I did see the Barbie movie, right? A lot of people say, oh, what a woke. Yeah, I'm not going to see that. If it were a umpteenth millionth wave feminist woke movie like everybody assumes it is, it wouldn't have had Midge, the family values Prego Barbie in it. It has fun with everyone. My favorite line in it is Will Ferrell as the CEO of the company standing there with his fellow male corporate board counterparts, says to the woman, but we're a feminist company. We have a female janitor. I nearly fell out of my chair in the theater on that one. That is a great joke. I mean, lighten up, people.
Yeah, I think you're hitting on something absolutely 100% there is you have the situation of, again, it was like we were talking about coming together. You're not going to come together if you're not lightening up a little bit. I think it's now actually, and to your point, it's actually starting to become a trend again. And I'm really sorry about this. I have such a separation in my outgoing look to what you're doing, and it's hard to talk to somebody when I'm looking at you now, but now I'm really looking at you, and there's a lot of difference. So yeah, I'll look down every once in a while.
I'm wearing my 6th international book. The Book of Kennedy just came out this week, so I'm wearing the shirt for that.
Kennedy. Talk about the Book of Kennedy. Well, are you talking about the same Kennedy I'm talking about?
No.
Or talked about?
I'm talking about a fictional female named Kennedy, not JFK.
Well, I figured that was the picture, but I didn't want to. I didn't want to assume anything there.
Right. Yeah. But
go ahead.
It's almost a quasi-sequel to Terror Strikes Coming Soon to a City Near You. Because I have to tell people, that's not a book about death and destruction. It's a book about life and living. And the Book of Kennedy, Project Carpe Diem is the subtitle, is the same. It's about life and living. The good, the bad, the ugly, and how we interact in it all. Human nature, psychology, again. So, it's going to seem weird to people for me to say it's kind of a quasi-sequel. It's all new characters. But that sub-theme of life and living from the Terrorism book is actually expounded upon in my new book. But you wanted to talk about education, so I'm anxious to chime in with today.
No, let's get on that in a second. But you're in a really deep part of something I don't think enough people think about. They know it's under the water. I as you were finishing up there, I was thinking a little bit longer than your ending cycle was there, so I apologize for the pause. The point is, the fact is, though, if you look at this, there's it's really hard not to imagine there's something deeper, but let's just keep it at this level. With all the people that have come over the border over the last number of years, much less decades, now it's a problem. Before it wasn't. let's not get into even all that, but let's just say that those additional little rumors that there's sleeper cells that have come across and are going to start doing things. You know, you talk about terrorism, and we haven't dealt with that. Not really. I mean, we have dealt with that, but I'm talking about like they do in like back when the Protestants and the Christians in Ireland were blowing up buildings every other day on each other's flocks.
I go into that in the Book of Kennedy. Right. We're supposed to be about Christian love and one another. Satan wins when we're Catholics and Protestants murdered and maimed each other for how many decades? Not very Christ-like.
Thousands
right?
of years. Oh, no, yeah. I mean, look at the Turks. Look at the Turks. You know, I mean, it goes on and on. Religious
but
wars have been...
that is human division. Christ didn't say, go forth and create 100 different Bibles and 100 different denominations and churches in my name. No, we humans, the human nature, our free will screwed up all that stuff.
Couldn't agree with you more. Could not agree with you more. That's the problem with Christianity is, any religion, spirituality is different. Any religion, the problem with it is the people. I mean, you look at the popes, they used Christianity to control the people and create wars.
That's why I created the ChristiTutionalist Politics podcast. And I have 2 books, ChristiTutionalist Politics and CTP2. CTP23 was supposed to come out this year, but instead the Book of Kennedy is. Satan wins when I, as a whatever, argue with you as a whatever about this line from the Bible, rather than focusing on the things we agree on, right? But people don't want to see that. My friend Pastor Sean Todd of Wham Radio here in Michigan likes to say...
I know Wham Radio.
You know Wham? Yeah. Pastor Sean Todd, The Intersection on Sundays at noon. He talks about the hippie hacky sack loving version of Jesus, right? I call it the kumbaya version, right? And Dennis Quaid created the term, I'm jealous that he created, churchianity. These are humanist clubs. They're not churches of Christ now. They want to just sit around and sing kumbaya all day and ignore all the tough love parts of the Bible, right? Mm-hmm. Jesus would call them Matthew 23 Christians, vipers, snakes, blind guides, just as today as there were then.
You're talking about really you're talking a lot deeper into the non-denominational, because I've heard that from a lot of people. How, you know, that's just...
Well, I was born and raised Catholic. My show is...
It's all about guilt.
Right, my show is not a denominational show, because again, if Baptists and Methodists are arguing, we all lose. If Catholics and Protestants are fighting, we all lose.
Yeah. What do you think about the Quran? What do you think about the Islamic?
Obviously,
let's face it. There's a lot of lion's den going on right there.
I was on a show the other day. I had to leave. It was a 12er nut job. One of the nuts that's, supporting the Iranian nuclear program so they can vaporize Israel. The current descendants of the Nazis still exist, still there. They're still anti-Semitic people. Jesus was born a Jew. He was raised a Jew. He came to fulfill the Jewish scriptures. He became a rabbi at age 30 to start his ministry. So to hate Jews is to hate Christ. It's just stupid. It's just dumb. To say they killed Christ, there were people only interested in their own power and control, their control of the faith over the people at the time that wanted Christ dead. Not all Jews then, certainly not all Jews now. So this idiocy to blame them as a scapegoat is just your lame inability to deal with your worthless life and stare yourself in the mirror and recognize you're at fault for the POS you are. Not somebody else hiding behind a tree because they got nothing to do all day but to drag your life down.
Somehow I think that's all done subconsciously, which is more unfortunate even still because you're not learning from your own mistakes. What was the senator?
Right, victimology, blame somebody else. You don't have to learn from yourself, right?
No, the senator from South Carolina said something to the effect of life is really hard, but imagine how really difficult it is when you're stupid. And that's what you're talking about. And that's what people do is they don't look to a solution. They look to what makes them feel good. And that's kind of where we all are. Let's get a couple of these out of the way because we've got some pretty good questions knocking out here. I don't want to. What inspired you to blend comedy with such
covered
serious topics we covered?
Yeah,
and I need to get caught back up on. Sorry, I'm getting some of these notes.
Yeah, well,
go ahead. Can you read that because I got to duck out and learn these. My eyes are out.
Yeah, as a cancer survivor, how did it? Again, it's the life and living thing, right? Exactly. In 2010, APL leukemia. I didn't choose the hairdo. I'm not a neo-Nazi skinhead. The hair came out due to chemo, and I just decided I'd save a ton of money on shampoo and conditioner just by continuing to shave it instead. So indeed, yeah, I mean, I say it in Terror Strikes Coming Soon to a City Near You. I have Kennedy repeated in the Book of Kennedy.
All right, let's go. Let's go back
things
here.
Things could always be better, but they could be worse. It's life philosophy, right?
Not too bad. That Terror Strikes in a City Near You. That is like a movement that you were talking about because you said you were opening something up in Naperville. And so let's dig into a little bit of what that means. What does that look like? What is that you're referring to there on that?
Well, again, the whole book is about bad things can happen to good people, but it's not about death and destruction. It's about life and living and how we choose. We have free will. God gave us free will. It's like the King's X song, Black Flag. There was a black flag on my morning. There was a black flag on my day. He goes on to sing, but it was up to me how I wanted it to be. We choose how we react to others. Negative Nellies. Get away from me. Don't need you, right? It's up to us how we act and interact and react to others. If we allow others to get our goat, then that's on us, not them. It's the whole human nature thing again. Thousands upon thousands or millions or billions or whatever quadrillions of years of humanity sucking. Right? There will always be people who suck.
Yeah.
Ignore them and try to make the best of your life. Though Terror Strikes not about death and destruction, but life and living. And yeah, bad things can happen to good people. I don't want you paranoid. I'm not selling fear porn. I just want you alert to the fact shit happens. Crime happens. Terrorism happens. At least be remotely aware. Like I have a beforeitsnews.com piece, fight, flight, or fade. Right? We all think fight or flight. If you got the chance and the means by which and any amount of training to fight back, good option. But if not, flight, might not be a good option either, because you're caught in the herd of sheeple running away, making a bigger target for those with an AK-47 taking pot shots at the crowd. Your best option might be to fade into nothingness. Just try to become invisible so you don't make yourself a target. How we act and react. I don't want you paranoid. I just want you to declare now, say it after me, I will be a thinker, not a panicker.
I will be a thinker, not a panicker. I like that. I like that. Yeah, and it's a cascading effect, because if you're a panicker, whatever that situation is becomes more elevated, never in a good way.
The original threat might not kill you. Your panic might kill you.
Yeah, there you go. Very good. Yeah, absolutely. No doubt about it. That's very, I've never heard that put that way, and that's very impressive.
Yeah, that's because, golf
clap.
Right. I'm too smart for metaphors. I use meta sixes. Ba-dum-bum.
Nailed it. So what do you think here? What do you think here Bradley's talking about? What are your thoughts on this subject?
Yeah, what does ChristiTutionalist mean? Well, conservative, liberal, conservative, progressive, left, right, all those, of course, immediately evoke good, bad, indifferent in people. So I invented ChristiTutionalist. You're either a real Christian or you're a Matthew 23 fake Christian. You either understand biblical community, which is free will and charity. I am to want to be my brother's keeper and to take care of widows and orphans, versus worldly bastardized communism, which is theft and force. There's no choice there. There's no free will there. That's not biblical. Biblical community versus worldly communism, idiocy. One works, one does not. Like I mentioned, I want a Mayflower Compact, right? I mentioned it before we went on air. The Mayflower Commie Compact. It's why they don't teach it in school. People know what it was, kind of, but not really.
I don't know anything about it.
The Mayflower Compact was the compact that the Pilgrims, the Bradford colony, signed on to as a Commonwealth communist, long before Marx, long before Lenin, Stalin, Castro, and Che, here in the U.S., that all would own everything. No one would own anything, really. They would all share in the duties and share in the rewards. Well, they almost all starved to death because why? Communism doesn't take into account human nature and laziness and Atlas Shrugged, and more people will get in the cart and there's less and less people to pull it. They almost all starved to death. Bradford instituted private property, individual rights rather than collectivist rights, and the United States, as they say, the rest is history, went on to be formed on biblical community, not worldly communism failure, which fails everywhere, every time, because human nature.
Let me ask you this. That's an interesting point. That puts my proudest moment of these United States, even at a deeper level potentially. When you're saying that this doctrine occurred well before any of these others did, as we were forming these United States and people were starving and so forth, and then the founders came up with the documents. Do you think there was a glistening or a glowing effect or a growing effect on how they created those documents? Because those documents, let me just finish the point if I could. Those documents are the most perfect things put in place, and they're the only reason we're still got some loopholes over like Europe and those guys. Even though everybody's kind of more free than they were before, we do have loopholes that they know they don't have, that we know we do, but don't use really as well as we should. My point being, though, we don't use that document like it should be to the teeth. In other words, of the people, for the people, by the people. That's the three questions all political people and media should ask when talking about any subject whatsoever. And yet we have that, and we actually can be controlling our whole own destiny, but we're not because of the politicians. You can't blame them. You can't blame those stupid this and that. But what we can be blamed is what you just said, that whole cattle sheep thing, where we're all just flowing one direction because that's what we're trained for. School system. We're still, how much time we got?
I didn't
we're okay.
get into that. The new
we'll go. Hold on, we'll get into it in a second. Yeah, we'll get into a second. But I just wanted to. It's interesting that we're at that point now, and we have a real opportunity to go back and with conversations like this and keep from being separated and attack the school system. We have a leadership now that we really have some definite lanes to be able to push down, to be able to get these things taken care of, and it's very exciting. But do you think that that people are going to pull this off? Because we haven't got a lot of time, but they're starting to. Can you feel that? What is your sense? As you go through the other subjects?
Regarding the Constitution, there were hints at that with the Magna Carta, but it never happened, right?
100%,
we are the only nation that really instituted biblical community and caring for each other in a fashion that lifts each other up. You can't lift others up by tearing people down. Another thing communism doesn't get. But the new core R's, rather than reading, writing, arithmetic, history, and all that, no, instead we got advocates, not teachers. We got leftist advocates who want to peddle radicalism and raunch rather than the old core R's. Those are the new core: radicalism, raunch, and racism. Rather than Atlas Shrugged or To Kill a Mockingbird or Orwell, no, they're peddling Colleen Hoover softcore porn in the grade schools instead, because they want dumb sheeple who will do as told, not be able to think.
You know, I'm glad we're at this moment. Do you got about in your day? Now I've got an hour in between, and I've got another show, but I want to stay on this a little bit. And I wanted to, like we were flirting about earlier, talk about the educational system, because that's a kind of a key to me for everything moving forward. That's going to be a really key thing.
Yeah. I go into that in both my ChristiTutionalist politics books and talk about it on my ChristiTutionalist politics show a lot. So
excellent. We'll get into that in a second. And when what I was getting at is that now that there's that change going on, where literally the educational system is broken down completely in being torn apart, because, and here's the interesting part, which you probably already know, but I got another point past that, because the fact that you have a constitution that does not allow interaction between the government and the school system, the educational system.
Well, they're not supposed to be on a federal level, right? The Department of Education
that's
is
what
an
they
unconstitutional agency. Yes,
it's illegal. It's totally illegal. That's why
correct.
They're getting rid of it, and then they're tearing that and bringing it back to the states. One thing I've really, and we talked about this with my granddaughter, and I've talked about this on a couple of with teachers on different shows, and what would really be interesting is take some of that money that Doge is opening up. Trillions of dollars per year and yes, again, we're spending money for a system, but what would be interesting is take that money and use it to where in the school system you're blending in as part of the curriculum that you have these, and yeah, you'd have to have some really good ones and probably more then you'd be comfortable spending otherwise. But right now, the school system's a joke. It should be math, science, da-da-da-da-da, and it should be this.
The
You
traditional
have a
core
person,
R's, yeah.
you have a person that in Europe they do a form of this that's very light, but they direct athlete interested people, they direct medical interested, they direct people as they're growing and learning with them. I believe we should be putting people in places that the kids start learning not only the core R's, but they start learning about that. That's kind of why I started this with my granddaughter, to build the tools for the kids going forward, because you know how much that's going to do for being able to make better generations and better generations and better generations, because our school system right now teaches you to be an hourly worker. That's what our school system at best teaches you to do. This system will give that kind of that direction on how, but what it does is, and it, AI makes it a lot easier because it can tabulate stuff and predict and this and that. And you're testing these kids. They spend an hour at actual class in there. They don't have to learn, I don't know, sewing or whatever.
Yeah, well,
I don't know, whatever.
Just quickly about AI, it's just a computer program.
That's all it is.
Same old thing, garbage in, garbage out still applies. You have morons coding their delusions into the system rather than the realities into the system. So you get delusion out.
Yeah,
that's why Grok the other day was spewing anti-Semitic rhetoric, because some anti-Semitic moron is the one who helped code it.
Well, yeah, I mean, that obviously is an example of that, but this wouldn't be that, obviously. I certainly hope it wouldn't be. Otherwise, why do it at all in the beginning? Because I think you should have throughout your school system the ability to develop kids alongside their children. And, these are programs that adults should be like in school to, that way there should be nobody in America underneath the poverty line. And I'm sorry, there should not be. That should, not everybody. Well,
the Bible makes the distinction. Jesus said the poor will always be among you. Why did he say that? It wasn't an economic statement. It wasn't a governance statement. It was a human nature statement. It's also why, if you read the whole doggone Bible in full context, Matthew 23 fakes and frauds, you understand the distinction between those who are unable to do things and those who are unwilling to bother to help themselves. I have no responsibility to you if you won't get off your ass and do anything for yourself.
Yeah, right. Well, right now we do. Unfortunately, it's a government load.
Well, that goes back to the Constitution and unconstitutionality. You have people who are lazy, who will vote for people to do things for them, who have their power and control in interest rather than, promote the general welfare. That does not mean individual welfare checks. Welfare checks are unconstitutional.
They're anti-productive.
Right. Promoting the general welfare means promoting an economy where jobs are available so people can work and earn their own way. That is the promote the general welfare, but the left, the commie, fasci, sociis, including rhinos and CINOs too. I'm not purely partisan here, right? All leftists, including rhinos and CINOs, fake Republicans, want to buy votes and hand things out and bastardize what's there. I lost my train of thought of where I was going with that, but they want power and control for themselves. They'll promise anything to anyone to get their power and control and completely ignore the Constitution.
And there's the exact bottom line of the whole point that you were making before is people are just buying and promising anything. You look at a lot of the people that are being voted in, especially by the younger generation.
Look at Madman Dummy in New York. Oh, government-run grocery stores. Yeah, that worked so well in the Soviet Union. You morons, you never learn anything because you never research anything. Government-run stores offer, of course, what they think you should have. Again, the left. Not about choice. Choice is only a word they use for murdering babies. They don't want to give you school choice. They don't want to give you choice in anything. They want to tell you how you will live. No choice. And
right,
government-run
so let me jump in. Let me jump in.
Bad.
Let me jump in. Let me jump in because what we're trying to kind of figure out here is solutions. Not pointing at other people, which we have every right to do because it's all true, but not because it's on both sides. Let's face it. Let's be honest here.
I said rhinos and CNOs are as bad as every leftist.
What I always say is trust but verify. If you remember Reagan.
Yes, exactly.
And that kind of answers everything because right now, what Trump's doing concerns me in some things. But the results he's getting is what we all were told he would and expected. Trust, but verify.
Yeah.
But what we're trying to accomplish here now is not just pointing at those other folks and saying how evil they are, because we know that already.
And that's what perfect. We all. I'm not a Trump cultist.
That's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about. So if we look at that and we say, yeah, no, I agree. Trump's not perfect, this, that, but so what? That's not what I'm talking about. At the end of the day, if we look at each situation and we say, okay, how do we replace that? How do we fix it? For our entire generation, our entire lives, we've complained about this, and they're still right here. Still hearing the same stories, still hearing the same promises at election time. And absolutely, we got to have some fun with this. This can't get weird or overdone.
Well, let me tie Reagan.
If I can finish this, if I can just finish this thing, what we can do though is we can sit there and really look at suggestions that say, "Hey, that a school idea or this idea or that idea, we should really be developing and pushing that." That's all I'm saying. Instead of, I complaining is absolutely, I get it, but what we really should be doing
verify. You said it. Trust but verify. Let me tie that back to a Bible. ChristiTutionalist shall be known by your fruit. I don't give a flying rat's patootie what you say. I look at what you do, and I don't care about your claiming to care so much about the poor when your policies hurt the poor the most.
So how do you change that?
I get back to a biblical-based society, and again, there will be.
How do you change that?
There will always be poor. There will always be people who fall through the cracks. That's just a fact of life, and the reality is the greater good is served. You hear leftists all the time. Oh, the greater good is served when the most good have it good. Policies that promote the general welfare, that lift more people out of the United States, and our system and our economics have lifted more people in our nation and around the entire world out of poverty than any other system before it and ever will. But some want to kill the golden goose because one person might be suffering. Then go help that person. What are you doing to help that person? You go give them some of your food. You go give them some of your clothes. No, they don't want to do that. They want to steal from us instead. Biblical community, not communism, is the answer. Actual charity is the answer. But people, again, due to human nature, laziness, don't do it, won't do it. They want to pretend to care. They want to claim to care. They enact policies that enrich them while the poor still stay poor. I don't care what you say. I look at what you do. Rush, not Limbaugh, the rock group, right? From the Presto album. Show, don't tell. Show me, don't tell me. I've heard it all before. I know the score. I don't give a damn what you say. Show me. Do something. Show me your own efforts.
Who?
Sinos, rhinos, leftists, commie, fascists, socis, who...
Have any of them showed us? Any of them?
Yeah, they show us over and over. They pretend to care but don't because they don't do anything.
So what do we do? So what do we do?
We have to start making better choices.
Right? How do we
like
do that?
What you said earlier, right? The politicians. Well, again, human nature and laziness. Are you involved in the political process in off election years? That's when candidates are formed for primaries. Do you vote in a primary? Most people whine, moan, and complain every November. Oh, I got to hold my nose and vote for the lesser of two evils. Where the fuck were you a year ago when you could have helped better candidates win the primary and we wouldn't have to hold our nose in the general election? Look, right? Michael Jackson, man in the mirror. Start with yourself.
Yeah, you have to, first of all. Second of all, you have to be accountable. That's why I talk about, watch parties and coming together and people talking about things. I mean, producer Barbie did that with her son, and it's amazing how much people learn because what's being told in the media is for one person or one side or the other. Right now, what we need,
including faux news and snooze max. We are the news. You got to find real, reliable, trusted, fact-based evidence sources like my online articles, not faux news or Snoozemax, and especially not CNN or the MSNBCs.
Yeah. What do you think about this question Allie has here? From your book, Terror Strikes, what subject, what topic in there hits you the most?
Well, again, the reason I wrote it was the overall issue of bad things will always sometimes be able to happen to good people. And it's up to us how we react and act to things in our orbit. And are we indeed thinkers, or are we just some of those people who want to just stumble through life and expect everything to be handed to them on a silver platter?
Well, just curious. As far as the topic, though, which one hits you the most? You personally, as a personal.
Well, the one that hits me the most is cyber terrorism, which was actually left out of the book so that the book wouldn't be the size of War and Peace and cost $50. It'd be too big.
So tying into what Gigi has to say here, and I think we know the answer that I mean, it's a healing force, right?
Oh, absolutely. Terror Strikes coming soon to a city near you. There's a comic relief chapter in that very serious book.
You're right. You mentioned that.
Yeah, and I talk about Patch Adams, right? The clown. You treat people with only medicine, they may get better. You treat them with medicine and humor, they tend to get better faster because it invokes the good feeling chemicals in the body and helps the body to naturally heal. versus to dwelling on their sickness and their sadness. That adds to the negative effects of the sicknesses. Patch Adams proved that.
The body does have absolute the ability to heal. And that's kind of getting back. We could spend a whole subject on food. We only touched on school a little bit, but there's other days to reach back and have that conversation and fill in the color between the layers there, because I think there's a lot that should and could be done.
Well, hopefully the Maha movement is moving things in the right direction. I mean, this isn't the 1890s where we were putting cyanide in the food to make it look fresher. It wasn't fresher. It looked a little fresher, but both the bad food and the cyanide in the food was killing people.
So I think Clyde has a little bit of almost this. It seems like they're really wanting to find out as far as the book and how it affected you in certain ways. And Clyde's coming up with the same question. They're not letting you off on this topic. What do you think they're driving for here, my friend?
I don't know, but they seem to be missing the point. Again, how we act is what it's about. What we think of things, how we do things, how we allow others to make us feel is on us, not them. And that it's not about death and destruction. It's about life and living, love over hate, hope over fear, faith over despair. And they want to focus on the terrorism, and that's not really the point of the book, even though it's historical fiction. I call it faction to make points about terrorism also.
Sure.
And it's not just about Islamic terrorism. I get the usual call, it's Islam, it's sexist, it's racist, it's Islamophobic, it's this, it's that. You clearly didn't read the book, because I talk about in the Tokyo chapter the Om Sri-Nyoko Supreme Truth Christian doomsday cultist morons, every bit as evil as the modern day Islamic 12 morons death cult. It's about terrorism of all kinds and cultists of all kinds, not one brand or flavor over all the others.
Let me get you to stop right there. I want to ask you a question. So we've kind of circled around a lot the religious subject, and you kind of hitting on this, but not exactly. I don't think so. But if you look at each religion, and I have different religious leaders on here periodically from every religion of which I've attended. Not that I'm an expert in any one of them, but it's all very interesting to me, because God, very much, I talk to God all the time. I'm not a big prayer guy. Don't interrupt, please. I'm not a big prayer type person. I just talk to God. Hey, dude, what's up? And we have a really close relationship. I shouldn't be here, honestly. But that's a whole nother thing. I've got a beautiful and terrorizing story to tell. But what interests me is they all have the same God. And I basically, when I say that, there's really 6-ish, maybe you could push 7 religions. There's only 4 major ones. And I do include Buddha in that, which isn't really a religion, but the other, every one of them have the same God. Every one of them. By the same God. Not that they have a God. They have the same God.
Supposedly.
Hold on. No. Hold on. And then they have, if you go through and you read their different dialects within their Bible or their Quran or their this writing or that writing, even Buddha, and they talk about the 7 levels of earth and of hell and of heaven, and they talk about the flooding of the earth. The stories within their writings mixed in, if you really look at that, not that I'm an expert on any of them, but It's take a look. They're just the floods. You know, when God flooded the earth and the animals came 2 by 2. There's a lot of those kind of things, and it's always puzzled me because I've really always been a very curious person, and that's good or bad. But it's always puzzled me how that those two. I mean, literally, the Christians and the Israeli, not Israeli, I'm going blank right now. Quran, the
Muslims.
Islamic Muslims, they fight for Christian, and we've talked about other ones. But what's bizarre to me, I mean, you look at the Protestants and the Christians. How can that not be the same God, but whatever they're fighting for? But here's the thing. Why, I talk about humans screwing it up, but it's beyond that, because why is there not one religion or something? I mean, or you have different saints that come down, but are they supposed to hate each other? I know the devil and the angel, I know that devil is an angel fallen from heaven, but here you have two saints specifically, and then the Jews killed God. I mean, it's just this whole really weird kind of infrastructure between them to create fighting of the human species on Earth, because here's another bigger box. Then there's slavery.
Their own power.
Then there's male.
It's human power control. Yeah.
Yeah, it's divide and conquer, man.
Allah is just Aramaic for God. Allah is the same God as the God of the Holy Bible. The Quran talks about Jesus.
Well,
the
he's
Quran
the spirit of
about
Christ,
Moses.
like Jesus is. He's the spirit of God. He's the ghost.
The Mahdi is a whole other different thing.
All right.
But humans delineated that, not God, not Jesus.
No, it's not God that I'm talking about. I'm talking about humans. Why is this
why power
there?
And control?
Complexity.
It's simple. Power, control.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So let me ask you this. Did you always plan to be a writer? And how did it push you? Because this is an important subject for me, because I'm a writer and I used to be something totally different. And I'm a much happier person because I'm living in my world now. But this is a great question. Thank you, Branson. By the way, before you go on, I wanted to hit Itchel too. That was a great question. I appreciate it. And Clive, awesome, dude. Thank you, guys. I've seen you, Clive, you especially. You're a good follower, man. You're a good supporter. I appreciate it. You guys, please subscribe to the channel, please, and like the video. Where was I at here? I was at Branson, right?
Yeah.
Sorry,
was I always a writer?
And what pushed you into the life of writing?
Well, my father, Thaddeus M. Lenard Jr., Ted Leonard Jr., had a polka band. They have 3 albums. You can still find them. So I wrote and recorded music when I was young and wrote poetry and short stories and novels. So yeah, I've never wrote professionally before, but I've always been a writer. Technically, my career was in information technology. I spent most of my years doing that. But yeah, no, I've always been a writer. It's only in 2022 with Terror Strikes was my first internationally released book. I've got tons of stuff that was written and recorded and whatnot before that. In fact, you could go to terrorstrikes.info/Billy Idol, terrorstrikes.info/Billy Idol for a cute story on the radio play I wrote in 1984 that won me an award. Ben.
Very cool, man. That's very, I love this side of the world that we live in, what I call creatives, or the new term that I've learned is being called creatives, meaning you could be an author or a writer, it's creative people. And I'll tell you, it's a different, I've lived in both worlds, and well, no, I don't live in the machinery world anymore. And that's a very gray, steel, dry. you're perfect for perfect with your wisdom and your wit.
Thank you. I appreciate that comment. But yeah, everyone has a story in them, and others could benefit from hearing it. In fact, one of my books is How to Write a Book and Get It Published, Hints, Tips, and Techniques to help you write your book.
Yeah, it's not easy. Trust me. It's not easy at all. It's a challenge.
Oh, I'm glad you brought this up about UFOs.
Yeah, I was going to tell you laying here. Yeah.
No, great question. Great. The Bible in Genesis does not say, and God created life on earth, and only on earth life created he.
No.
It doesn't say that. In fact, Genesis talks about the Nephilim, other than human creatures. What are angels? Angels existed to the right and left hands of God when God created the earth. Therefore, Terra, they existed before Terra. They are extraterrestrial by definition. The UFO, I've been on with the Ireland UFO Society and whatnot. Yeah, discuss people. It doesn't say God created life on earth and only on earth life created he. Doesn't say that.
But what do you think? So there's a lot of people that, I mean, that's not such a satanic or evil comment these days anymore. But what do you think that, like, I've had different thoughts and theories, like you said, God created the heavens, all right? And so as you look at it, you don't know, and I don't know why it's a big deal, and I don't know why it's been made.
We don't know what we don't know. The Bible is a Dr. Seuss book.
Do you think that possibly it's our future coming back? Or do you think there's other people in other universes? Is there a combination? Or do you think we have no idea? We don't know yet.
We don't know for sure. My personal belief is it's a blend, interdimensional, interstellar, and the term I created, intertimental beings.
What's an
intertimental? Time travel.
Okay, so time travel. Okay.
But intertimental,
I think it's kind of that.
Intertimental makes more sense with interstellar and interdimensional.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it works better, no doubt.
I got them in Ireland saying that term now, since I invented it.
It's becoming much more of a smaller world with our technologies. I mean, having different people in communications all around the world. We're streaming all around the world.
Einstein proved mathematically the ability of time travel, but the same with intertimental and interdimensional. The amount of energy that it would require to do it, we're not capable of. Doesn't mean somebody else isn't.
And it doesn't mean that AI ain't going to get us there faster. And that other worlds. And here's the thing, it's going to be interesting to find out is if that is the truth, and this ties back to my thing, what is their society like then? Let's say there is another species, then they're ahead of us. Are they a better species than us? Are they so it'd be interesting to see, because I believe we should be a lot further ahead than we are. And we're going to really start jumping now. But I think we've been held back because I think people are better than governments. Not that I think we need leaders. Absolutely. We need people with vision, but then you need the backbone. We're the backbone of America. We're the people that can take the vision that you have. You need to drive that vision, but you need people to be able to drive the end result.
Well, Another Reagan quote, government doesn't solve issues, it just subsidizes them.
Yeah, no doubt.
People are innovative, not governments.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, this has been a great show. I mean, we
covered a lot.
We're still over 300 people with us here, and we've had somewhere between 300-400 people consistently throughout the show.
In and out.
It just shows you. it just should. Well, yeah, I mean, but staying right in that 362 area. When you get over an hour, usually they start diving off. Now
I call it today's Twitter attention span. Everybody wants the Cliff Note version. Yes.
Yeah. So it's been a great show, and I mean, as the last topic, and just say hi to your new fans. It looks like you got a new group of fans here. Give your wave goodbye. I'll throw you in the green room, and I'll be back there and just say hi to you in the second after I close out.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, everyone. Again, Joseph M. Lenard. It's not French. Lenard without it. JosephMLenard.us. Terrorstrikes.info. Find me on Amazon, of course. All that, beforeitsnews.com, thelibertybeacon.com, Substack, all that good stuff.
Man, dude, you're all right. I appreciate it. Thanks for having a great conversation. It's fun. It's fun to be able to have a
pick up the book of Kennedy, right? Definitely pick up the book of Kennedy.
There we go, man. Hey, dialed in. That was a beautiful show, and I appreciate your guys' questions. They're really awesome. I think we got everybody. See, Linda. Yeah, so I think we got everybody, and I think and I'm really sorry about my eyes, guys. This is really a tough working with. I told you I did order, which is actually a better looking pair of glasses. I know that sounds weird, but I like that stuff now because I have to look at myself all day long. And I've got another show coming up, and so we'll see you back in a little bit, right about 15 minutes from now, and we are that'll be the last show of the day. I've got some really great stuff going on. I'm talking to the neighbor here. Just opened up my first bank account in town. I'm learning that the city basically closes down at 3:00 in the afternoon. Small town living. You guys have asked me about, how that changed. I'm really excited about being in a new part of the country because, as you know, it's important for me to be authentic, to be able to say things that come from a place of belief. Everything's belief. We see our lives are all different from everybody else because we see them through our own vision. And when we do that, that means the guy standing next to me or person next to me is living a completely different life than me. When I first heard that, it blew me away. When I second heard it, I went, that sounds kind of stupid. I don't get that. And then just recently, 2 or 3 people in a row had made that. Now I say it all the time because it makes sense. Your life, your brain is your life, is your world, is your thing. Now AI is going to be starting to mess with a whole lot of things, and we better get our politics and we better get our people together. We better be not in boxes, and we better be not capable and not able. I talk us men. Let's say this, okay? We need to be qualified to be a mate. We need to be capable of being that thing that our mate needs. Women, same thing. And we know we need to know each other's favorite, most wheelhouse loving things. And those mates need to come together. Failure, marriages used to be, when I was a kid, 50-50. I think now it's like 65. What would that be? 35? Yeah. 65% of marriages fail. It's really rare to know somebody who's been married 40 years even. I mean, that's guy. If I would have been married once, I would have been married 40 years, well over 40 years. But anyway, let's not end this on a bad note. It's really exciting to be here. It's really exciting to be in a place where I am. It's really exciting to learn new cultures and be part of that culture and start to understand. And the reason I wanted to bring up with our dear friend Joseph here, the reason I wanted to bring up with him that system that I want to really start trying, and I'm going to start talking to everybody. Some people are giving some real legs to walk on and talk about, and some people, we keep talking and see where it can lead us, and being able to make our educational system the most amazing freaking thing in the world, because I think it will also be educational for our current adults. I think as our kids grow up, we won't need to educate the adults, but I think the expectations we have of it right now, there's the 80-20 rule, and Joseph mentioned it a number of times. There's a there's a logical percent, and we're not talking about people who are mentally ill. That's a 2%, whatever. That's a society of people that are here to bring us love, to bring out our love, to do a lot of things, and with that we all become better people. But then there's people that aren't yet even. But a lot of that is, and Joseph talks about the people willing to or not willing to or able to. And a lot of that's pushed by the government. There's some really bad seeds planted there. So we need to counter that. And yeah, we need to do a social program. I'm sorry, we do on this thing. I think it makes sense. I'd like to talk more about it. We'll get on to it later because, I mean, shit. How many hours can you do Insights and Straght Talk with me, your host, Rod Duff, because I'm the fuck out of here.
Before you leave, if you'd like to watch another one of the podcasts, click the first link in the description. We love having you here and we appreciate all your support.
And with that, producer Barbie and I are out.